Hello, this is Cathy, and I'm here with my friend Rob.
Hello.
And this is The Cinema, the podcast where my husband Dave and I walk home from the movies. But I'm not with Dave today. I'm with my friend Rob, and we are going to see
Jumanji, The Next Level.
Yes, very exciting. So Rob's not been on the podcast before, but Rob has his own movie podcast called The Movie Robcast. No, what's it called?
It's called The Movie Robcast.
Oh, it is called The Movie Robcast.
You were right the first time.
Right, I'm really tired. The Movie Robcast. It's a really good podcast if you're interested in genuinely deep film analysis, unlike what Dave and I do here. And so Rob and I both wanted to see this movie, thought we'd go together. And Rob, were you a fan of the first?
I was, and I have to admit, the first one with The Rock in, so the 2017 film Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, was such a nice surprise, because I thought, really a remake of the 1995 Robin Williams film Jumanji, which was an okay film. So I kind of put it off until I think I rented it from Sky Store, and it was like, oh, this is really good and really charming and exciting and funny. It was so much better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, same. We didn't go and see it in the cinema, did the exact same thing, caught it at home, went, oh, this is way better than it should be. Similarly enough to another Jack Black movie, when we did the same thing with Goosebumps and went, oh, this is better than it should be.
I've not seen Goosebumps. Should I check it out?
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
Like, they're just like perfect movies for like that age, early teen, fun, family movies. So yeah, I'm excited to see this one. I'm presuming it won't be as good as the first one, but that's maybe just me being negative. Maybe it's better. What do you reckon?
I'm hopeful. I mean, I think, the thing with sequels, particularly a sequel to a very, very successful film, it's like, well, we'll see if they've got anything new to tell. But I am hopeful because they've got the original cast back and there's a few additional people in it, I think. So it will be good to see what they've done. Yeah,
a great cast and a great person to go see with. So we're just heading in now and we will be back soon. Bye.
Welcome to Jumanji. This next venture is even more challenging. And remember, the future of Jumanji is in your hands.
I have one important question. Who is Jumanji?
Is that Barbara's boy?
We're gonna die.
We did die.
Are we in hell?
I knew it.
Oh my God.
This is a whole new thing.
You got to have eyes in the back of your head.
What in the Sam Hill?
Right, we are out of Jumanji, Next Level. We are in St. James's Park, so you're going to hear lots of ducks. Rob, what did you think of the movie?
Well, I was very, very happy that it was as good as I wanted it to be. It was, because I really liked the first one, and after, I think, initially shonky first 15 minutes, after that I thought, right, we're in the film, it's enjoyable, and we're kind of doing the same as we did before, but I will happily watch this again.
Yeah, I felt like... Had you seen a trailer for this?
Yeah, but it was a while back.
Oh, I hadn't. So I was like, ooh, Danny DeVito's in this. Ooh. So I was quite pleased just at the things that were happening at the start, which maybe made me enjoy this beginning a bit more. But yeah, I enjoyed it too. Now, I was struggling to remember the first one, and parts of me kept thinking, wait, what happened in the first one again? But you don't need to have seen it, I think. But I think if you haven't seen the first one, it's not... You can follow this, but I think the first one's better. So watch the first one if you haven't seen it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did. And I got loads of laughs and I cried twice. So lots of emotion. But I just... it didn't work for me quite as well as the first one. I felt like it was a little bit forced.
Yeah, I think the thing here is that the first one, so Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, the 2017 film, was a film that single-handedly rescued Sony Pictures from bankruptcy, really, because they'd had a string of flops, and it was like they just can't make a hit movie anymore. And then suddenly this Jumanji reboot came out, and it got The Rock in it, and then it does $1 billion, and it's the film
$1 billion.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
The film that saved Sony Pictures. So there was always going to be a sequel, but then it's clear that Sony said, yeah, can you just do the thing that you did before, because if it's not broke, then please don't try and fix this, because we want another $1 billion. I think it was their thinking, because it was essentially a remake.
It was, and it was... I'm afraid of getting into spoilers, so I'm not going to talk too much about what was different. But some of the stuff that was different didn't actually really work for me, but I appreciate that they were trying to change things up a bit, because it would have just been really tedious to do the exact same thing. They certainly changed the setting of the game, which was quite cool. So it's a completely new game story, which, I mean, they would have had to do or it would have been so tedious.
Yeah, and there were new levels, and there was like a desert level, and you see a snow level. This is in the trailer. And there were some nice twists, and there was an actor in there that I didn't know was in there, and I was really, really happy when they popped up. So, and they'll be on IMDb, but I'm not going to spoil it until we get to spoilers, because I was really happy when this actor popped up.
Ooh, okay, so not on the trailer then?
Not that I can remember, no.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll wait, because I don't know which actor you're talking about. And yeah, I really enjoyed it too. I really enjoyed it. I just think, for what it is, it's totally fun. Like, bring your teenagers or go yourself, have a bit of a laugh. Danny DeVito was like the standout, the scenes he was in for me.
Well, that was the great thing, I thought, and this is again in the trailer, so it's all fine. But yeah, you've got the two Dannys. So you've got Danny DeVito and Danny Glover, and the idea of them being played by The Rock for Danny DeVito and Kevin Hart for Danny Glover is just quite funny. But the comedy mileage they get out of that in the film, I was really surprised by, because I laughed a lot. I laughed more than at most straight comedies. You know,
Same, more than we should have. Okay, that's the bit I didn't know if that was in the trailer, because I didn't know that. I didn't know the two old men were going to go into the game. So yeah, if that's in the trailer, great, we can talk about it. I really enjoyed that, but then I felt like it actually reduced The Rock's performance, because I don't think The Rock did a very good impression of Danny DeVito, and I kept getting distracted by whatever it is The Rock's gurning, where he was trying to be Danny DeVito. It was.
I know what you mean, but I did think that there were some moments when The Rock kind of pulls a Danny DeVito face where he looks annoyed and confused at the same time. And because it's The Rock, who is just a perfect specimen, it did make me laugh. I think that Kevin Hart was better as Danny Glover.
Yeah, agree.
Just with that very slow, deliberate delivery and he just had some wonderful lines, because the whole thing is that they're confused about what's going on and they don't know that it's a game, and they keep having to be told you're in a game.
Yeah, because in the first one it is a group of teenagers, so they can pick this up quite quickly, so that was fun. So yeah, no, there's definitely fun elements, totally enjoyed it, just not like I don't know that I'd go and see a third one.
I would go and see a third one, and yeah, I would go and see it, just because, well, I really like the actors in it. So it is one of those where I was thinking, in one level, this is quite lazy that you've basically done the same thing again, but there's enough kind of freshness in here, and it's funny, and also I just like watching these actors do this thing. So
yeah, when Danny Glover showed up, I was really happy, because I didn't know he was in it. So okay, we're going to go to spoiler street now on this movie.
But just one more thing. So we saw it at the Odeon Leicester Square, and you are currently pregnant.
Oh yeah.
There was one point where the Jumanji drums came on, and the rumbling was so intense that I think a filling dropped out in my mouth. And I thought, is this going to induce labour? Because I can't believe how much this room is rocking right now.
And honestly, the baby went crazy. The last time I experienced a baby doing that in my womb was when I went to see Dunkirk and I was pregnant with Oscar.
Right.
That's the last time I felt that level of fetal activity. So yes, the baby went absolutely mad during those bits and was dancing around my stomach. At one point I nearly grabbed your hand to put it on my stomach, then I went, no, that'd be really weird, I'm not going to do that. But I was like, you need to see what's happening here, because we had been looking at it in a different screen, and it had been playing in 4D or whatever, and we're like, there's no way.
4DX, yeah.
But it felt like that.
Yeah, it did. It really did. It was just such a bass line that was like, my God, this is rumbly. What's it doing to Cathy and her baby?
This poor child. But now Oscar's hearing was totally fine when he was born, which is what I had genuine concerns after Dunkirk. Now we're on Spoiler Street in this lovely park, so we can talk freely. If you haven't seen The Rock Next Level and you don't want to be spoiled,
Jumanji Next Level.
Oh God, Jumanji. But yeah,
I would
watch The Rock Next Level.
I would happily watch The Rock the next level.
I would say this is The Rock down a level, if I'm being honest. Now we're on Spoiler Street. Oh my God, the very end, when they did that crappy post-credit scene where Jumanji came into our world, I just went, no.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking, okay, so they're clearly going to make quite a lot of money from this one as well, I think. And I think it's opened at 60 million in the States, which is double what the original one opened at.
Wow.
So it is going to be a hit. And I think it'll be the film that you go and see with your family if you can't get into Star Wars. So... Yeah. But I was thinking, so they clearly are going to make another one because this is going to make some money. But how are you going to do this again? Because you've done the same thing again. And then at the very end, when, yes, you see the ostriches and they're in the real world. So Jumanji's going to come into the real world, which...
I don't mind that as an idea, but I just think they shouldn't have done it in this movie because, so what, the next movie is going to take place immediately after this one. It didn't feel very interesting. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have seen that new... Like, I enjoyed in this movie that we were like a year later with the characters, things were a bit different.
Absolutely. It did seem a bit like a slightly desperate move by a studio who wanted to say, yeah, that was really good, wasn't it? And you can still be excited by this franchise because there's another one coming and we're going to give you a bit of it now. So please come and watch the next one.
Yeah, they basically wanted to say like Jumanji will return again, which is actually all they needed to do.
That would have been better if they had just put up a card at the end, written in the Jumanji font saying Jumanji will return. I would have been more excited for that. But they said, that's a really good point.
And there's a couple of things that bothered me about the first movie I'd forgotten and I was reminded as I watched this one. Kind of primarily that, like, I get it's like a trope, right? It's a video game and there's like a scantily clad woman in it. But it annoys me that the movie does it. Like, I don't know why that actress has to be basically half naked for most of the movie.
Is that Karen Gillan?
Yeah, it just annoys me. I'm like, I get that it's a trope of like, oh, Lara Croft might have dressed like this in the original games. But that doesn't actually matter, and I just found it highly annoying to watch a movie where there's a woman walking around half naked for zero reason.
Well, that's an interesting point because Lara Croft, as played by Alicia Vikander, was more clothed in the Tomb Raider reboot than Karen Gillan is here as Ruby Roundhouse, whatever her name is. I was pleased they gave her some clothes to wear at the end when they go to the Ice Fortress, because it's like, if she's still wearing those hot pants and it's really snowy, that's going to be a bit kind of pervy.
Well, it's just pervy anyway, though.
Yeah, it is, indeed. It's like
it's just unnecessary, and as an actress, like, for her, I felt like she must feel really uncomfortable. Maybe she doesn't, I don't know. It was just a bit gross. And again, she's like, I know her and The Rock are avatars, but her and The Rock are love interests, and like, that's gross too. Like, she's half his age. And it's funny because Dave and I watched what did we watch recently with The Rock was in? Oh, Hobbs and Shaw. And
right, yes.
I was saying, which we really enjoyed, but I was
indeed.
saying, like, the Rock's always so weirdly asexual, right? Never even has a kissing scene. But they have a kissing scene in this one. And I was like, ew! Did you see that kiss?
I did, but the thing there, and this, I don't know if this is going to reflect badly on me, but what I liked about that was that it was The Rock and Karen Gillan acting like they were two teens who were very awkward in real life, so their kisses were really kind of awkward and their lips were too pushed forwards.
Oh, maybe they were acting better than I thought. I just thought, oh, The Rock can't kiss. That's why we've never seen it before.
I think it was one of those things more that he was kissing like an awkward teen rather than The Rock can't kiss. But I know what you mean about The Rock. He is one of those things, he's just so perfect that it's like no one could possibly be with him intimately because he's just so perfect.
Because he's like asexual, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's like he's just... Well, I'm not entirely sure I'm the same species as The Rock, to be honest.
He doesn't look human. And what did you think about... I was like, because I haven't read anything about this movie, so I'm going to be really interested to read up on this now. So in the first movie, don't ask me any of the teenagers' names, but the black teenager jumps into Kevin Hart's body, so he's still black. In this movie, the black teenager jumps into Jack Black's body, and then briefly into Karen Gillan's body, and then they almost put on like kind of an accent, and I just felt like that was really weird. Like they were trying to put on like I don't know. Do you know what I mean? And then but then The Rock doesn't put on an accent when he's playing the teenage boy. Yeah,
that's interesting. I thought that was. Because I did think that, and with Jack Black, I thought you are treading a very, very fine line here. And ultimately, I have to be honest, I didn't really have an issue with it because I thought you're doing the character and the way the character speaks more than an impersonation of a black character. And Karen Gillan was just basically doing a jock, wasn't she, when he becomes her.
So I was like, oh, is this problematic? I'd be really interested to read someone who's not white like us to see what they have to say about it. So I found that odd, and I didn't enjoy Jack Black's performance until he went back to being the teenage girl. I think he's brilliant at that, and I didn't enjoy The Rock's performance until he went back to being the teenage boy. Where Awkwafina, is that who you were talking about? That wasn't.
It was.
In the trailer?
I was so happy when Awkwafina popped up. It was like, I really like watching you perform, and I thought she was great at the beginning when she's basically the Spencer character, so she's doing the really awkward teen, and then she becomes the Danny DeVito character, and it's
she was
like,
way better than The Rock.
you've got this down pat. I mean, I think she's 5'1" anyway, so she's only a couple of inches taller than Danny DeVito. But just the way that she hunched herself over and pushed out her jaw, and it was like, you really do a good Danny DeVito.
She was really good, and she showed The Rock up, and it was funny because they all felt wrong in the bodies they were in. And the characters themselves felt wrong. So when they all switched back, it was like a nice relief, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It was one of those things that for the final act, they thought, okay, we clearly need to deliver an action spectacle that's very funny, and we need to have a little bit of the familiar, even though it is kind of like a remake.
Which was Jack Black being that teenage girl, I thought, in the last one.
Yes, I did
really
hear you
enjoyed
chuckling
that.
at that thing.
Yeah, as soon as I was like, I just felt really uncomfortable with his representation of the other guy, and I also felt like it wasn't very good, like very interesting to watch. So I find this one much more interesting.
But I have to admit, I did like the bit when they're out in the desert and Jack Black gets all of his weaknesses up, and it's endurance and heat and sand and sun, and then he just says, man, it's hot out here, and he says it in such an annoyed way that I thought, that is good. That's
and
funny.
It's still a good setup. Like, I think fundamentally, like, I admire the setup. I think they've done a really good job, and they've like so many good like other actors in it, like the guy who's the Hound from Game of Thrones.
Yes, that was great. Is it
Murray
Rory
from
McCann?
Flight of the Conchords.
Oh, who was that?
Murray from Flight of the Conchords. You know, he like is when they first come in, he like flies the plane and introduces them to
okay, right, that's him,
Jumanji.
is it? Okay.
And he's in like What They Did in the Shadows.
Oh,
the New
right.
Zealand actor. So it's like they've really good like little bit part actors as well. I really enjoyed all of that. So like I'm really pleased we went to see it.
And I was really happy at the end when, I don't know if you ever watched Frasier, but Lilith, Frasier's wife, played by Bev Newirth.
I was like, who is she? It was really annoying me.
It was like, oh wow, it's Lilith, it's forever Lilith. But so that was really nice, and there were some really good cameos in there. I know what you mean about The Rock, but the thing is, so 20 years ago when I first started working at Sky, one of my first jobs was to watch the wrestling to make sure that it was okay to go out on Sky One on a Saturday morning, and it was just at the time that The Rock was becoming a superstar. It's like, who is this showman? This amazing person who's so funny, but he's such a great athlete, and he just got oodles of magnetism, and a 20-year man crush was born, which means I will watch anything he's in, and I do give him a pass. I know that, because it's like, you're right, he wasn't as good in this one as he was in the first one, but there is something about just watching him do that smouldering intensity.
Yeah, that's brilliant. But I loved when Danny DeVito brought that back to the real world at the end.
Yes, that was great.
And so the bits I cried at were when Danny DeVito and his friends said goodbye to each other.
I thought that you might...
lovely.
It was, and I wasn't expecting there to be any deep emotion to this film, and we're in spoiler street, so it's fine. So so Milo, who's the Danny Glover character, has a terminal illness, and of course he's in a place where he'll never age, so he stays, and it's like, and I thought, oh, okay. So
as soon as they said he had a terminal illness, I was like, he's staying.
Yeah.
But even when it happened, it was lovely. And then there was another bit I cried at, but I can't remember now. Somewhere towards the end I was crying again, and like we laughed loads, didn't we?
I chuckled the whole way through.
Yeah.
It was one of those where it was, even if it wasn't a particularly funny joke, it was just, I think, the exuberance of watching the actors just be together on these mad adventures, and the action set pieces I thought were a good mix of action.
They were really good.
And comedy.
And they looked amazing. Like that scene where they were jumping across bridges with monkeys was awesome.
So good. That's one of the action scenes of the year. And I'd read a review, I skimmed a review, sorry, don't want to have any spoilers, and one of them said that the effects were shonky and it really damaged the action scenes, and I did not agree with that at all. I mean, I thought that the ostrich thing was good, when they were being chased by the ostriches across the desert, and but that scene on the bridge with the mandrills, whatever they're called, was really exciting and really well thought through in terms of it being lots of moving bridges, so there was lots of suspense, but then you get the comedy because one of them's very good at geometry, the Jack Black character.
I did enjoy that they had new powers this time, and then they're like, wait, why do we have new powers? And he's like, geometry.
That's right. And then you had Kevin Hart playing the Danny Glover character, who was a very, very slow delivery zoologist who was giving all these facts about mandrills as they were being chased by them and about to be ripped apart. And
that was really good. Like, there was definitely some lovely stuff. Oh, and when Danny DeVito says something like, you're killing me because you speak so slowly, which is what, like, you know, I always thought you would do or something. It's quite funny. Like,
That's right,
yeah,
yes.
it was good.
And there was one line, because when they come back to life after they lose a life and you hear that bell chime before they fall from the sky, and one moment a bell chimes and Kevin Hart, as the Danny Glover character, says, "Oh, that's my life bell. I need to take one of my pills."
That was good. I like the stuff of them being old. It was sweet. Okay, I think we've run out of stuff to say about this movie, to be honest. But
Yeah, I think you might be right. Although I'm just really enjoying this. I just want to carry on.
but Rob, tell our listeners where they can find your podcast.
So you can find me at the movie Robcast, so called because it's me and another guy, and we're both called Rob. It's that deep. And yes, if you want to check us out, I think we're on iTunes and we're on SoundCloud and Stitcher and lots of other ones. We're not on Spotify, so you'll have to do a bit of digging. But anyway, it's on Apple, so that's all good.
Where all the good listeners are. No, I'm joking to the 50% non-Apple listeners. It is about 50% Apple, 50% the rest, I think. And thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been really good fun.
If you enjoyed this, head over to iTunes, leave us a review. That would be awesome. And thanks for listening. Bye.
See you.
What the hell is this?
It's your strengths and weaknesses.
Smoldering intensity? It's a stupid face you make. Huh?
What's going on? You having a heart attack? Breathe. Breathe. His whole left side is shutting down. Eddie.
All in the wonderful